Hi everyone, welcome to the lecture number 5 of week 11. Till now we have seen 4 different case studies of a smart city. Now let's try to synthesize them and draw some key success factors and also what are the common challenges. So if we see the success factor, so first success factor what we got is the strong leadership and vision is essential for good implementation or success implementation of a smart city. This political commitment beyond election cycle is constantly the first or number 1 factor in the successful smart city transformation. This includes the vision communication, whatever is being articulated or conveyed to the people, that should be very clear. There should be good leadership and there should be proper resource allocation. There should be dedicated team which can coordinate different authorities, different departments in order to make a correct and timely decision. Also, there should be willingness to take risk. There should be willingness to experiment and learn from the failure. And also there should be a long-term perspective, like we have seen in the case of Singapore. They have planning for 40 to 50 years. Which ensures the continuity beyond any political cycles. The second success factor what we can draw is the citizen-centric approach. The technology push without citizen needs lead to adoption failure. The success city solve these real problem. There should be participatory design, that means citizens or users should be co-designers throughout from planning to implementation. There should be transparent communication, clear explanation of benefit, cost and what trade-offs are there with the citizens or users. And also there should be inclusive services which should ensure the digital services work for all the demographics, not for any particular type of peoples. If we see the case of Barcelona, so their citizen amendments If we see the case of Barcelona, so their citizens engagements include more than 100k plus people participating in their budgeting. The third success factor which we can draw is integrated planning and breaking silos. We have already seen the siloed department lead to fragmented solutions, and integration enables the holistic urban transformation. There should be proper integrated command centers which have all the informations integrating, like we have seen in the case of Pune. There should be cross-agency coordination, transport, energy, water, IT departments or others should be working together. There needs to be a central officers which coordinates among these different departments. There should be an unified platform, single data platform which can enable the cross-domain analytics. Also, there should be a dedicated smart city unit which act across the department authority. And there should be a proper master plan alignment, that means the smart city projects align along with the long-term urban plans. And this integration can draw a 20 to 30% of the cost saving. The fourth success factor what we can draw is the sustainable funding models. Now, sustainable funding or financing ensures continuity beyond initial grants. There are multiple models exist which can give the sustainable funding. There is public-private partnership model, that means private sector brings capital and expertise and share risk and rewards with the government. There are certain convergence scheme like aligning multiple funding sources, like there is a smart city mission in India, there is Amrut scheme, there might be share from the state, there might be share from the city. Also, there could be performance related contract, that means payment should be tied with the outcome. It should not be just tied by the input. And also we can go for certain revenue generation model, like we have seen in the case of Singapore when they are using the electronic road pricing parking fee we can take, and also we can monetize the data which is being generated in the smart city to create a sustainable revenue stream. In Pune, we have seen the implementation of PPP models. Barcelona has actually generated the financing using the green bonds, and in Singapore, the government has funded based on whatever the fee they have collected by parking ERP to the transport. The fifth success factor, what is there for the success behind all this city, was the data-driven governance. The real-time data which is being collected should be analyzed and enable a evidence-based policy. That means whatever the data is saying, that should be used for taking the rapid response, and that should be used to make the continuous improvements. So there should be real-time data monitoring, dashboards, tracking, KPIs across the city systems. There should be predictive analytics. Whatever the AI models are there, they should be predicting the traffic, energy demand, maintenance requirement, etc. And also there should be open data innovations, like means whatever the data is collected, that should be available publicly, so that the startups or other independent researchers may work on the data and may give different solutions. Now let's see some common challenges which this smart city faces. So first common challenges what we have seen across the examples, across our case studies, is the digital divide. Unequal access to technologies risk excluding vulnerable populations from smart city benefits. This access gap can be around 20 to 30% of the citizens, because they do not have a smartphone or access to good internet. There is also literacy barriers. That means the elderly or low education groups may struggle with the digital interfaces, maybe operating the apps, etc. And also the economic exclusions, like digital first services may exclude the people who need them most. In order to solve this, we can adopt different approaches. Like we can use the multi-channel services, like it can be maintained on phone, it can be in persons also, along with the digital. We can run certain digital literacy programs where we can give free training to the community to use these apps, use these platforms. Also, we can have some assisted service options, maybe some kiosk we can make, or we can have some help desk where people can go and have their work done. Also, we can use an inclusive design. That means the design for most vulnerable first, and then scale to the next population or other population. The second challenge is what is very dominant in case of a smart city is related with privacy and surveillance. So because in a smart city, extensive data collection happens, so there is always a concern about the surveillance, misuse and data security. So in order to solve these issues, we can have the transparency, that means clear communication on the data collection and what is going to be the use of this data. We can take the consent of the citizens, that what data is required, and whoever wants, they can opt in, or they have option to opt out also. And also we should adhere to the minimum data collection, only which we need to collect the amount of data which is actually required. The third important challenge is the scaling from the pilot. Many successful pilot projects which actually happen in the smart cities projects, which we have seen in our case studies, never got scaled up because of the funding or depth constraint. So there is actually funding gaps, because pilot projects can be funded by the grants, but scaling requires a significant amount of budget. There might be some organizational resistance. The department may resist changes to establish certain processes, and also there might be certain technical depth. Maybe the pilot may use technologies which is not suited for the city-wide deployment. Now let's see how we can avoid these kind of scaling challenges. So we can use the design for scale, like plan scaling from the beginning, not as the afterthought. We can also use the phase-wise rollout, and we can also use the outcome-based funding, that means tight continue funding to demonstrate the result. Let's see the fourth challenge what we have in context of a smart city, what we have seen in our case studies, that is related with the integration. In smart cities, we may have different vendors which may supply the different type of equipment, which have maybe different output or maybe different type of capabilities. So these proprietary make item will be difficult to switch or to change by the different vendors. Also, the data silos related issue, that means there is gap between information which is transmitted or conveyed from one department to the other department, and also the lack of standards, that means incompatible protocols and data format which is taken by these type of systems. The solution here could be use a open API. So whatever the vendor provides, that need to follow a same open interface to provide the information. Also adhere to the common standard formats, and the best solution is to use a unified platforms like we have seen in our case studies, the NPTEL-NOC, which enables the integration from whatever the system is being used. The best approach for the smart city, what we have learned, is the transferability framework. We can transfer, but let's see what we can transfer. So not all the solution directly from one city like what we have seen in the Singapore can be transferred to the India or any Indian cities. The technology part is actually more transferable than the policy part. So let's see what is more transferable. The technology platform, the IoT solutions, the data analytics, mobile apps, platforms, these all things are transferable, or you can say more transferable. Let's see what is less transferable. The transaction pricing, vehicle quota, and governance model. Let's see what could be our adaptation framework. So we can have access control. That means we first need to understand the local needs, the constraint and capabilities. Then select the element, choose the relevant component from different smart cities to implement in your city, and discard any nonsense or any other kind of things. Do a pilot project, test it locally, iterate it based on the people's feedback, and then implement, then adapt it. There should be scale hybrid, that means combine the adopted best practice with the local innovation. So let's see what we have learned in this lecture. So we have seen the leadership is foundational, the political commitment and long-term visions are the prerequisite for any success story about the smart city. The approaches should be citizen-centric. The technology must solve the real people's problem for the real people. The integrations of the system beats the silos. Also, we have seen the sustainable funding enables the continuity. More multi-source financing beyond the initial grant is essential for the smart city success. Also, the data drives improvement, evidence-based governance enable continuous optimization. Challenges are universal, but they are solvable. The context matter for the transferability. Adopt the global practices to the local conditions. The final insight what we can have from this lecture, that the smart cities are about the people, not just for the technology. Success requires putting citizen at the center of every decision making. So thanks it. That was the module 11. Thank you.